I used to think my husband was incapable of love. Professor Elias Rowan, the man everyone at the university admired, feared, or secretly fantasized about. He was brilliant, reserved, and impossibly intimidating. His cold blue eyes saw through people like pages in a book. His lectures were flawless, his research groundbreaking, his voice sharp like polished steel. Students whispered that he was heartless, a machine disguised as a man. And I, his wife, believed it more than anyone. Our marriage wasn't built on romance or passion. It was built on convenience, obligation, and a secret neither of us spoke about. I had been his teaching assistant. We were caught in a situation that forced us into a marriage neither of us had planned. He signed the papers with an expressionless face. I signed them with trembling hands. From that moment on, he treated me with politeness, respect, distance. Too much distance. He never yelled, never touched me, never showed anger. But he also never showed sadness, or warmth, or affection. I slept on one side of our apartment. He slept on the other. We lived like strangers who shared a last name. I convinced myself that was the best we would ever be. But the truth was, I never looked deeper. I never saw what hid behind his coldness. Not until the night I died. It was late, too late, and the campus was nearly empty. I had stayed behind to finish grading essays, refusing Elias's usual offer to accompany me home. You shouldn't walk alone at night, he told me every time. You don't have to take care of me, I always replied. He never insisted. He never forced. He simply watched me leave with an unreadable gaze. That night, I cut through the old courtyard, a shortcut I had taken 100 times. The lampposts flickered. Leaves rustled. A chill slipped down my spine, but I ignored it. Until I heard footsteps behind me. I turned. Too late. A hand shoved me. Hard. Pain exploded through my body as I hit the stone steps. My vision blurred, and I gasped for breath, but the world spun violently. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. Then, footsteps again. A shadow fleeing. Darkness creeping in. And suddenly, a voice, full of panic, desperation, unlike anything I'd ever heard. Lyra. Lyra, stay with me. Elias. He dropped to the ground beside me, pulling me into his arms with shaking hands. His composure, the mask he always wore, shattered completely. His eyes, usually cold, were raw with terror. No, no, not like this, he choked out. Please, open your eyes. I tried. God, I tried. He pressed his palm to my cheek, his thumb brushing away dirt and blood as tears slipped down his face. You can't leave me, he whispered, voice breaking. You don't understand yet. You don't know how much. He paused, swallowing hard as if the next words were too painful to speak. How much I love you. My breath caught. Love. Elias. Impossible. Unbelievable. Too late. My vision dimmed. His voice grew distant. His grip tightened as if he could anchor my soul inside my dying body. Lyra, please don't go. But I did. I slipped into darkness with the heartbreaking image of my cold, distant husband crying over me. The first and last time I ever saw his heart. Then, light. Not warm. Not peaceful. Cold. Clinical. A hospital ceiling I had never seen. Panic shot through me as I sat up, gasping, trembling. A nurse rushed to my side. No sudden movements. You've been unconscious for days. Days. My hands flew to my face. Not mine. Not my cheeks. Not my skin. Not my reflection in the metal tray beside the bed. A new body. A new face. A new beginning. I had been reborn. My heart thundered. My breaths came in gasps. I wasn't Lyra Rowan anymore, not physically, but my memories, my soul, my past, all remained. Before I could process it, the door burst open. And he stood there. Professor Elias Rowan. My husband. He froze when he saw me. Every emotion he buried for years surfaced at once. Shock, grief, hope, fear, love so intense it nearly knocked me breathless. His lips parted. His voice broke. Lyra. My entire world shifted. No. No, this was impossible. He recognized me. Through a different face. A different body. A different life. But he knew. He felt me. And in that instant, I realized the truth I had been blind to in my first life. My cold professor husband had loved me deeper than I ever imagined. And now that fate had granted me a new beginning, he wasn't going to let me slip away again. The room fell into a heavy, trembling quiet the moment Elias stepped inside. He didn't move at first. He didn't breathe. He just stared, eyes wide, pupils blown, chest rising and falling like he had been sprinting. The shock on his face wasn't small. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't the cold professor I once knew. It was raw, fragile, unmistakably human. Finally, he took a step toward me. One more step, I warned instinctively, and I'm calling security. He froze. A soft, painful exhale left him, like my rejection physically struck him in the chest. You don't need to be afraid of me, he whispered. But that was a lie, or at least it felt like one. Because the man in front of me wasn't the quiet academic I had known before. He was different. Untethered. Unmasked. More alive, and more emotionally exposed, than I'd ever seen him. I don't know who you think I am, I said carefully, but I'm not her. I expected him to argue, to insist, to say something wild, but instead, his expression softened to something heartbreaking. I know the body is different, he murmured, taking one careful step closer. I know the face is not the one I memorized. I know the voice shifted. His throat bobbed. But the soul. His eyes glistened. The soul is the same. My breath caught. A tremor ran through me. How can you possibly know that? He lifted a trembling hand but stopped inches from my cheek, as if touching me would break whatever miracle had brought me back. When you opened your eyes, he whispered. For a moment, everything felt right again. Familiar. Like a heartbeat I'd been trying to listen to inside an ocean. My heart fluttered painfully. Elias, you're grieving, I said gently. Your mind is creating connections that aren't there. He clenched his jaw, struggling to maintain calm. I know what grief is. I know how delusion works. I've studied human psychology, trauma, memory. And yet you're convinced your dead wife is back in a stranger's body? He swallowed hard. Yes. I stared at him. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't the man who refused to speak more than necessary. This wasn't the man who addressed me like a colleague, not a wife. This wasn't the professor who lived behind walls so high no one could climb them. This was someone else entirely. Someone broken. Someone loving. Someone terrified. Sit, he said gently when I swayed slightly. Please lie. Don't call me that, I snapped, louder than I intended. He flinched. Actually flinched. And guilt stabbed through me unexpectedly. But he recovered quickly, taking a slow breath. What should I call you then? He asked quietly. I hesitated. That alone seemed to confirm his belief. My name, I said slowly, is Kala. He repeated it under his breath. Once, twice. Letting the name settle in his mouth as if adjusting to a new language. Kala, he murmured, voice trembling. That is your name now. But it doesn't erase who you were. I pressed a hand to my chest. I'm not trying to erase anything, I lied softly. I was. Or at least, I had been. Before he walked into the room. The doctor finally entered, startled to see a well-known professor lingering at my bedside. They exchanged stiff greetings, and I watched Elias shrink into the background, not speaking, not interfering, but watching me with an intensity that almost burned. Your vitals are stable, the doctor said. But your memory. Since this is a unique neurological case, we'll need further evaluations. Elias's eyes snapped to him. Unique how? The doctor hesitated, glancing at me. Well, she remembers things she shouldn't. Emotions, events, that don't match her identity. Heat crept up my neck. I looked away. What are you saying? Elias asked, voice dropping dangerously low. That psychologically, the doctor continued carefully, she believes she's someone she wasn't. Someone named. Don't say it, I cut sharply. Elias's gaze softened. He knew exactly what name I was running from. Lyra Rowan. My former self. My former life. My former marriage. You need rest, the doctor said gently. We'll keep you for observation for. She's coming home with me, Elias interrupted. My jaw dropped. No, I'm not. He turned to me, his cold professor demeanor slipping back into place. But now I recognized it. Not indifference. Not arrogance. Fear. I don't trust anyone else with you, he said. You barely knew me when I was Lyra, I snapped. His expression broke for half a second. That was my greatest mistake, he whispered. The truth of it hit me harder than the fall that killed me. The doctor stepped aside to make a call, leaving us alone again. The silence between us felt electric, charged with every unspoken word, every missed moment, every buried emotion. You can't stop following me, I whispered. You can't force yourself into my life just because you regret the past. He met my eyes with devastating sincerity. I'm not forcing you, he said. I'm asking. He took a single step closer, voice cracking. Please, come with me. Let me protect you. Let me explain everything. Explain what? I whispered. He hesitated, and something like fear flashed across his face. The night you died, he said slowly, was not random. It wasn't an accident. My heart lurched. You mean? Yes, he said. Someone pushed you. Someone wanted you gone. And they succeeded. Ice shot through my veins. Then why didn't you tell the police? I did, he murmured. They ruled it inconclusive. But I knew. His jaw tightened. I had enemies, Kala. People who hated me, my work, my position. And the easiest way to hurt me was through you. My stomach twisted violently. You think someone killed me to hurt you? He looked away, and that was answer enough. And now, he added quietly, they might have realized you're back. A tremor ran through me. But you're not Lyra anymore, he whispered, brushing a strand of hair from my face with trembling fingers. And I will not lose you again. Not in this life. His touch burned, not painfully, but like warmth I didn't know I needed. You can't just reclaim me, I whispered. He stepped closer. His eyes softened into something so heartbreakingly gentle it almost didn't look real. I don't want to reclaim you, he said. I want to protect you. I swallowed hard. Why? I whispered. His answer was simple. Quiet. Unavoidable. Because I love you, he said. I always did. I just never knew how to show it. My breath trembled. Because in that moment, in his voice, in his eyes, in the trembling of his hands, I felt the truth. My cold professor husband had never been cold at all. He was just a man who loved too deeply, too silently, too late. And now fate had given him, and me, a second chance. But second chances come with dangers. And I wasn't sure I was ready for the love I never saw coming. Going home with Elias felt like stepping into a past I hadn't fully mourned and a future I didn't understand. His car ride was silent, not uncomfortable, but tense, like the world was holding its breath. Every time the road curved and the city lights flashed across his face, I saw something new in him. Something I'd never seen before in my previous life. Fear. Not the kind that makes you hide. The kind that makes you hold on. Are you warm enough? He asked suddenly, his voice soft. I blinked. He had turned the heater slightly toward me. I hadn't even noticed him do it. I'm fine, I whispered. But his eyes flicked to me again, checking, memorizing, as if afraid I'd disappear if he looked away. This wasn't the cold professor people whispered about in hallways. This was someone else. Someone painfully human. His apartment was exactly as I remembered, and yet not at all. Minimalist. Clean. Organized down to every pen and book. But there were changes I couldn't ignore. A blanket draped over the couch I used to fall asleep on. A mug, my favorite color, still sitting beside the bookshelf. And on the far wall, a photograph of us. My breath caught. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't intimate. It was candid. Me laughing at something. Elias not looking at the camera, looking at me. The moment he noticed me staring, he stiffened. I should take it down, he murmured. No, I whispered. You kept all this? He swallowed hard, his eyes avoiding mine. After you were gone, I didn't know what to do with anything. I didn't know what to keep, what to throw away. So I kept everything. A painful warmth blossomed in my chest. You kept my mug? I asked softly. A faint flush crept up his neck, something I had never seen before. You used it every morning, he said. And when I tried to put it away, it felt like I was burying you again. My heart twisted sharply. He gestured awkwardly toward the couch. Sit. Please. When I did, he sat across from me. Not too close, not too far. Always careful. Always aware. What do you remember? He asked gently. The question hit harder than expected. Everything, I whispered. The fall. The darkness. Waking up in someone else's body. I hesitated. And you holding me. His breath hitched almost silently. I looked down at my hands. And hearing you say you loved me. Silence. A long, fragile silence. When I finally looked up, his eyes glistened with something devastating. I didn't want you to hear it like that, he said softly. Not when it was too late for you to answer. Too late. Those words sank deeper than any blade. Elias. Why didn't you ever tell me before? He closed his eyes, exhaling slowly. Because every time I got close to telling you, you pulled away. His voice cracked slightly. You wanted warmth. I didn't know how to give warmth without breaking myself open. So you kept your distance, I said. He nodded. I thought, if I stayed cold, controlled, professional, I could protect you. He swallowed hard. But all I did was hurt you. My chest tightened. What about me? I asked quietly. Did you ever think I wanted your warmth? His eyes flicked upward, searching my face. I thought you only wanted friendship, safety, stability. But I wanted more, I whispered, voice trembling. I just didn't know how to ask. A tortured look crossed his face. I know, he whispered. I realized that too late. We stayed in silence for a moment, not awkward, but heavy with everything unsaid. Then Elias stood abruptly. There's something you need to see. He walked to his study, the room he always kept locked, and motioned for me to follow. Inside, the air felt different. Heavier. Intimate. Full of secrets. He pulled open a drawer and took out a stack of files. Police reports, security footage stills, photos from the courtyard where I fell. My breath caught. You investigated? I whispered. For months, he said. I couldn't prove it, but everything pointed to the same conclusion. That I was pushed, I murmured. He nodded. And that the person responsible. He hesitated. Might come for you again. Why? I whispered. He hesitated before answering, a sign that terrified me more than anything. Because you weren't supposed to be the one who died that night. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? He shut his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they were filled with guilt. The attack was meant for me. Everything in me froze. The department wanted my research, he said, voice low. I refused to share it. Some people saw me as a threat. You were alone that night. You took my usual path through the courtyard. I wasn't the target, I whispered. He nodded painfully. But you paid the price. My heart pounded violently in my chest. And now, he said quietly, whoever planned it might realize you're alive again. A shiver crawled down my spine. But why would they come after me now? I asked. He took a step closer, not intimidating, but protective, aching. Because they know I loved you, he whispered. And hurting you was the easiest way to destroy me. My breath stuttered. Loved. Past tense. Present. Both. I wasn't sure anymore. And you think they'll try again? If they suspect who you really are. His expression darkened. Yes. I swallowed hard. What now? His gaze softened, unbearably gentle. Now, he said, I protect you properly. Not with coldness. Not with distance. Not with silence. He reached out, slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. I didn't. His fingers brushed mine. Warm, trembling, careful. When I lost you, he whispered, I lost the chance to love you the way you deserved. My heart pounded in my throat. And now that you're here, Kala, I won't waste that chance again. His touch wasn't cold. His voice wasn't distant. His heart wasn't empty. He wasn't the cold professor I thought he was. He was a man who loved in silence, and broke in silence, until fate ripped us apart. And now fate had stitched us back together. But only to place us on the edge of danger again. As he held my trembling hands between his, one truth settled in my soul. He never stopped loving me. Not in my first life. Not now. Not ever. The next morning felt unreal. I woke on Elias's couch, wrapped in the same soft blanket I used to fall asleep under in my past life. The sun filtered through the curtains, warm and gentle, illuminating the room in golden hues. It felt peaceful. Almost heartbreakingly so. And for a moment, I forgot everything. The danger, the second life, the grief of a past self. But then I heard quiet footsteps, and everything rushed back. Elias stood in the doorway, holding a mug of tea. He hesitated as if approaching a wounded animal. I didn't want to wake you, he said softly. You were peaceful. His voice wavered slightly at the word. Peaceful. Something I hadn't been in a long time. I sat up slowly. He set the tea on the table, then stepped back, giving me space. Not because he wanted to. Because he feared overwhelming me. I made breakfast, he said. Well, attempted to. A tiny smile tugged at my lips. You're still terrible at cooking? His ears reddened. Tragically, yes. I laughed, the sound foreign in this new body, but familiar in my soul. He froze when he heard it, as if the sound reached some part of him grief couldn't touch. You sound like her, he whispered. My breath hitched. His expression softened with guilt. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. It's okay, I murmured. I know what you meant. He nodded, but his eyes remained shadowed, full of memories and pain. We ate in quiet companionship, something gentle settling between us. Not romance, not yet. But understanding. A mutual ache. After breakfast, I finally asked the question neither of us dared confront. Elias, why did you marry me back then? Truly. He stiffened. I pressed on. You never said. Not once. I assumed you felt obligated. Or indifferent. He looked away, jaw tightening. I wasn't obligated, he said quietly. I asked. I blinked. You what? You never noticed, he murmured. You never realized that I. His breath trembled. You were in trouble with the department over gossip. I intervened. I offered a solution. But I never forced you to sign. You agreed. Willingly. But you didn't even like me, I whispered. His eyes snapped to mine. Hurt, wounded, shocked. I adored you. My heartbeat stopped. He continued before I could speak. I kept my distance because I knew you didn't feel the same. I didn't want to trap you in a marriage you didn't want. So I gave you space. Too much space. And you mistook it for coldness. I felt the world tilt. All this time, I whispered, I thought you regretted marrying me. I regretted never telling you why I wanted to. My throat tightened painfully. Why did you want to? I asked, barely a whisper. He exhaled, a sound filled with years of buried emotion. Because you were bright, he said. You were warm. And I. His voice cracked. I was afraid I would smother your light. I stared at him, unable to speak. You brought color to my gray life, he continued softly. But I didn't know how to show it. I didn't know how to love you in a way you could see. Tears pooled in my eyes. And then I lost you, he whispered. And all the words I never said became a weight I couldn't carry. The room thickened with aching silence. He took a slow breath and finally lifted his gaze to mine. I am not asking you to love me again, he said. I'm not even asking you to stay. I only want to protect you until we understand who is after you. But you won't let yourself lose me again, I whispered. He swallowed hard. No. My chest tightened. Elias. You cared for me so quietly I never heard it. And I loved you so deeply, he whispered. I never dared speak it. Before I could respond, a loud crash echoed outside. Elias was on his feet instantly, body tense, eyes sharp and alert. Stay here, he ordered softly. No, I said firmly. I'm not hiding anymore. He hesitated, torn between protecting me and respecting me. Finally, he nodded once. We moved toward the door cautiously. But the crash wasn't a threat. It was a delivery. A bouquet of white lilies lay at the doorstep, identical to the ones from the courtyard where I died. My blood ran cold. Attached was a small note. One mistake can be forgiven. Two cannot. My hands shook as I read the tiny, elegant handwriting. Elias's face drained of color. Calla, he whispered, gripping my arms. Listen to me. You're not safe here. Where are we going? I choked out. Away from the campus. Away from the city. Somewhere they can't find you. But they already have, I whispered. They know I'm alive. He cupped my face. Carefully, desperately. Then I'll make sure they never touch you again. Elias. I failed you once, he said, his voice cracking. I won't do it twice. My breath trembled in my chest. Why are you doing this? I whispered. Why are you risking everything for me? His answer was simple. Soft. Shattering. Because I spent your entire first life loving you in silence. His thumbs brushed away tears I didn't realize were falling. And I refused to waste the second chance fate gave me. My heart cracked open. Not from fear. Not from pain. But from recognition. The man I thought was cold. The professor who hid behind logic and walls. The husband I never understood. He wasn't cold at all. He was a man who loved so deeply, so silently, so selflessly, that I had been blind to it until death tore us apart. Now, in this new life, as he held my trembling hands and vowed to protect me, one truth shone brighter than everything. I didn't just owe him safety. I didn't just owe him gratitude. I owed him the chance to love and be loved. Fully, openly, finally. I owed him the words neither of us ever said. Elias, I whispered, voice breaking. When he looked at me, His eyes softened with a lifetime of unspoken devotion.
You loved me alone for so long.
His breath hitched. Not anymore, I whispered. Not in this life. And for the first time, in both my lives, his cold, distant facade melted completely. He pulled me into his arms. Not out of fear. Not out of grief. But out of love. Warm. Fierce. Real. A love that had always been there. A love I finally saw. A love I wouldn't let slip away again.